we talked about were translations. Now we're going to talk about dilations and reflections. The word dilation, you may have heard that. People talk about dilated pupils. That would be like when your eyes get bigger or smaller. The pupil gets bigger or smaller depending on how much light there is. Okay? Dilations just affect how much these quadratic equations open. Okay? So you might have something that's not very dilated, that's very narrow, or you could have something that's really dilated, that's very wide. This is changing the width. Dilations change width. Because you can see we've got some skinny parabolas, we've got some normal sized parabolas, and we've got some parabolas that maybe have been eating a little too much. They're getting a little heavy and bigger on the middle. Okay? It's just changing the width. That's all a dilation does. And this happens when you multiply x squared by a constant a. Okay, so this is when we multiply something times x squared. So if you look, if a is bigger than 1, we're going to stretch vertically. If a is less than 1, we're going to compress vertically. Well, what does that mean? You can look over here. If a is bigger than 1, we're going to stretch it vertically. You can kind of think that's going to be where you get skinnier. So a bigger number gets skinnier, or you could think of it maybe taller. Because see how the red function, when we multiply by something, it gets taller, gets skinny. And if we multiply by something less than 1, we're going to get bigger. Actually, let's say wider so we don't get confused. We're going to get wider, and you can also think of that as shorter. So looking back to our two examples, we had the skinny one. This would be where a is bigger than 1. And then we had the wide one. That would be where a is between 0 and 1. So looking at our examples, we have h of x equals 1/2 x squared. We want to describe how these are related to the parent function. Well, you can even see the blue is my original, the green is my new. Obviously, the graph got wider. And you don't have to say how much wider it got. Just understand we multiplied by something between 0 and 1, so the graph's going to get wider. And then here in the second one, we multiplied by something bigger than 1, so we know the graph got skinnier. But also, look here, we added 2 at the end. This is a little bit of review of what we did earlier. If you add 2 outside of parentheses, all that does is it's going to move the graph up 2 units. Remember, that's one of our translations. If you add something outside of parentheses, you move up that many units. So you can see we have a skinnier graph and it moved up 2 units.